What's up, YouTube? Southern Comic Geek coming to you, talking today about Valiant Comics. Now, before you run away, before visions of thousands upon thousands of Turok Chromium goodness starts ravaging your mind, come into this place and view something that you don't see every day. Just about any show that you go on, you can see the latest and greatest, the flavor of the week. But we're talking about good books here, folks. And today I've got a guy who knows an awful lot about good books because he sells a bunch of good books, usually bringing lava fire to his Instagram sales. And that's none other than Christian. What's going on, man?
Hey, how you doing today? What's up, YouTube land? How you guys doing?
Man, I appreciate you finally getting together and finally being able to do this.
Hey, we played the dance around game, but we got it hooked up, bro. It's my honor and privilege, man. Thank you so much for inviting me. I appreciate it.
Hey, look, you know, you had me on your Instagram sales when you actually threw Valiant up there, and you always bring the good shirts like you got on today. And
I'll talk about this shirt. It's a special shirt, bro.
You always repping the good shirts and throwing some Valiant goodies up there. And because generally when, you know, you go to the various YouTube channels, they're just putting up the flavors of the week and they're not bringing the heat. We've got a bunch of folks up in here already. We got Six Face Comics. What's going on? We've got No Good Comics. He and I had a good conversation about X-Men a while back. We got Shiny. What's going on, Shiny? DJ Ling.
What's up, Shiny?
And then we've got, okay, and then everybody else is saying hey to each other. Well, as we do with most of these shows here, I normally do a giveaway as related to the topic or topics that we are discussing. And so today I'm going to be giving away some Valiant, what I would refer to as garbage pail kid cards. Christian, I don't know if you ever seen these or not.
Those are pretty cool, man.
So let me do this right here. All right, so these are by a guy over on YouTube named Mad Mod Poet God. Ooh, that's a name. So he did these. These are actually painted. They're not stickers like the Garbage Pail Kids cards are, but they look just like them, right? And so they're done with the Valiant characters. You got Victor Ray. You got Booger Boniface. You got Exploding Eric. So if you're a fan of the Garbage Pail Kid cards and or Valiant Handsome Harada, you got Grinning Gilead. You got Angry Eric. Womanizing Woody. Ivar the Time Heaver. If you're a fan of either one of these franchises, then you will enjoy this. Cut Up Colin, Fallen Faith. He's actually doing another series of these, and similar to the Garbage Pail Kids cards from years gone by, the backs are a puzzle.
Nice.
And so you put them in, you know, a card page, and you can see the back puzzle, and it also comes with the checklist. So I'm going to be giving away one of these today. Depending on how many people we get in here, I will also be giving away this Bloodshot Zero signed by Joe Quesada right there.
Nice.
So we'll this is
for a second that was a Bloodshot Platinum. I was like, whoa.
Yeah, I ain't going crazy now.
You ever seen one of those?
Yeah, and I didn't get a good deal like you got on yours, but
I got a good deal on mine. My story's kind of infamous.
Yeah. So we got Felix Maldonado. Hope I didn't butcher your name, but appreciate you showing up. Yeah. So now, having said that, for my 750 subscriber giveaway, I gave away an X-Men 4. So I have been known to do crazy.
That is crazy.
But man, appreciate you coming on. Most people probably know you over on Instagram, doing comic sales with Elveens Comics. I heard the other day, but why don't you remind us, or maybe for those people that don't know, how many of these Instagram live sales you've been done now?
Well, we started the Instagram live when the pandemic hit. You know, I've been doing shows out here in the West Coast, SoCal, NorCal, Arizona, Nevada, for I think about 10 years, 9.5 years. We've been doing shows, and we usually do between 10 to 14 shows a year. So I mean, I've done, I don't know, 100, 120 comic shows. And when the pandemic hit, there are no more comic shows. And, when you've done 120 comic shows, it's not a hobby. It's a business. Now I'm a high school teacher, so I have two full-time jobs. And when the pandemic hit, we had to figure out something else, and we started this Instagram live sales pretty early in the game. Our first one was March 21st. And I think our last one we just had on Tuesday, on Mardi Gras. I think that was our 126th sale, I think.
Oh, wow.
So that's a lot. We've been aggressive with it. And but it's been fun, man. The lives have been real great.
Well, and one of the things that for those of you who have never been on one of his sales, the link to his Instagram page is in the description of the video below.
Thank you,
so be sure to check it out because he's always bringing lava. He undergrades his books, which you always appreciate from a seller. And actually, one of the books I bought from him, I've got right here. But one of the other things that I appreciate as a husband with 6 youngins, I do appreciate being able to go to a comic auction and it be just that comic auction. Yeah, you're laughing, you're carrying on, cutting up, but you can tell the good vibes back and forth between you and your wife and your kids. And
it's a family business. Yeah, it's a family business. I got a best friend wife who is, there with us. And of course I have twin girls that are 18. We call them child and daughter on the show. And we're a family business. It's been a family business since it's been a business. Best friend wife's dad has done probably 60 shows with me. Her mom, Nana, has done a bunch. Her brothers have been at shows with us. So the girls grew up at comic shows. So it's a family business, man.
Yeah. Well, and you don't have the things get a little dicey or shady, in some comic auctions, and that's fine for some people. Some people that doesn't bother.
Right.
But if my kids walk in, I don't want to be embarrassed by what they see me watching, right?
Yeah, there's no language, and we keep it PG, and because again we're a family show, and hey, I have friends that run their auctions another way, man, and those are my homeboys, and I'm good with those guys, man. Everyone's got their lane, and our lane is the family show, and it's been a real great time.
Yeah. So, and you surprised me by saying that you just started last year because I probably saw your first show very early on, and right. Man, y'all were looking like pros up there, like y'all done it forever.
Thank you. It's just that we try to recapture what it's like to come to our booth just in a live sale. So, I'm a high school teacher, so I'm pretty comfortable with the speakings. And, when we definitely learned a lot in the beginning. We definitely learned a lot. And one thing that I'll say is every show, which is a lot, we talk about it afterwards. How was the flow? How was the rhythm? Was the timing good? Because there's a lot you have to work out. A lot that you have to work out with everyone to make it as good and free flowing as you can, especially during the pandemic. People need content. They need to be entertained. They want a moment to break away from the real harsh situation they're in. And we try to bring it, we try to bring the smiles and the funnies, and, we're just who we are and how we are. We ain't putting on no fronts for nobody, but, we only know one way, man. And that's full pedal to the metal. And it's been a blast, man. It's a lot of work. I got a box right here next to me of stuff that I'm grading and looking at for our show on Sunday. So it's constant, but it's been real fun.
Yeah, and look, if you're not on top of things to claim stuff, it's going to get claimed. I was going to claim that gold Shadow Man.
That's a banger, bro. That's a banger.
And somebody had claimed it before you even got back to the thing,
Yeah, I had 2 really great Valiant books up last Sunday, and I had that Price Shadow Man Volume 2 number 1 variant, Christ variant.
I missed that one. Did you sell that one?
I did. Like that.
Yeah. So I've got the let's see, the rare one's the one.
The rare one is the Price. The one with the Price.
I've got the one without the price on it.
Yeah, it's still a great book. Still a hard book. You're not going to run that book in a lot of places, man. Really hard book to find.
Well, so tell us, how'd you get into this crazy thing called comics?
Well, it's a great question, man. I didn't grow up reading comic books. A lot of my friends and a lot of people that are into comic books now as an adult, they grew up as kids. I really didn't. I was aware of comic books. My first exposure was Spider-Man and Batman, like the records, where you would listen to the record and it would go ding, and you would turn the page on the record jacket. So, but I didn't really read comics because we didn't really have a lot of money as a family to be doing that kind of stuff. I had a couple. I had the Treasury Superman versus Ali. I had a Treasury first Ra's al Ghul, the reprint of that, and a King Kong Treasury. And my grandma got me a Flash book when my eardrum burst. But really, I didn't read comic books through junior high or high school. Comics kind of weren't cool. I was a basketball player, and it wasn't kind of a cool thing. And then when I was in college, one of my fraternity brothers, his name is Scott, and he's kind of a little bit famous for comic books. There was an article in the New York Times about him. He sold some of his collection to start his law firm. So, he had Fantastic Four 1, X-Men 1, Amazing 15. He had all of it just in his house, and we would look through them. And one day he goes, "Hey, I want you to read this." And I go, "Man, I don't like no comic books, bro." He's like, "Just read it. I know you. You like good stories. Read this." I'm like, "Man, I don't want no comic books." And he said, "I won't be your friend if you don't read it." And I was like, dang. And it was Magnus Robot Fighter #2. Second part of Steel Nation. It was amazing. I read it and I was like, oh my gosh, this is great. He goes, "You like that?" I go, "Yeah." He goes, "Well, check out this one." And he gave me the next one, and we read it and loved it. And then he kind of I was hooked instantly. And I'm like, "Let's go get some more of this stuff." He's like, "Let's go." So he actually hooked me and a couple of my other fraternity brothers. We were all in the same fraternity. And we went to the world famous Frankensons, which is a famous West Coast comic mecca out here. And we would go once a week and we'd buy Valiant. And this is pre-Unity, right around the beginning. So I didn't start with Magnus, who was the first book I read. So it was probably I probably got maybe Magnus 13 maybe, which is 2 issues before Unity. So right around there. And Valiant at this time, guys, people don't remember this. It was the #2 publisher for a while. It was crazy. You would go to this Frankensons place, which is a big swap meet for comic books and collectibles, and you'd buy the Valiant books off the shelf. And 2-3 weeks later, you go to the same guy to get the next Valiant books. He'd be like, "Hey, you bought the Valiant books for me 3 weeks ago, right?" I'm like, "Yeah." He's like, "I'll buy them back from you for triple price." It was like that, man. This is legit. We're talking about this early Wizard magazine pumping up Valiant. I was right in it. So when you're young, you're like, "Wow, I just bought this book for $1.95, and now this guy's willing to give me $6 for it." Man, that's crazy. I didn't sell any. So we went and bought for about 1.5 years every week. And then the stories kind of got bad, you'll remember, and then just your mind starts to go other places. But I had these long boxes and short boxes. And at the same time, listen, I had Spawn 1, I had all that Image stuff too, because that was hot. That's right on the time of Superman 75. Bloodshot 1, the Chromium book, that's all around the same time. And that's about probably where I kind of got out of it around that time. But I had these books, these boxes. And as a teacher, every summer, you ain't got nothing to do. So I just kept pulling out, these books and reading them. And by the time we got to the internet, that's how old I am, friends. The first time I was on the internet was in my classroom as a teacher. And you're searching for stuff on the internet. And I was like, oh, let me look at Valiant Comics. Because I thought, and this shows you how silly I am, I thought when I stopped buying the comics, they didn't make no more. That was it. That's all they made. I didn't understand that. And I was like, oh my gosh, Solar goes to 60 and Magnus goes to 64 and Shadow Man, my favorite at the time, went to 43. Well, let's go get some of these because I have money, So we started going out to the comic shops out here in SoCal, and there's a lot of comic shops out here, and buying Valiant. And I found a Valiant website, valiantfans.com, which was my original home on Instagram. My first message board was a Fender guitar board. But my real first home on the internet was this Valiant fans board. And I just got way into it. And you would find out that like this, like a Seer Chaos Effect Red is like worth like $90. This is back in the day. And you could go to some shop in Bakersfield and look in some guy's dusty box in the back, and there it is. Hey, how much for the books in these boxes here? What are they? Valiant, 50 cents. I'm getting a $90 book for 50 cents. And I went from San Diego to Bakersfield to pretty much every comic shop. I'm talking like 40 or 50 comic shops buying just Valiant. So a lot of these hard to find Valiant books, the Turok EB Games variant, like these Shadow Man Price books, a lot of these rare books, I was into it for a couple bucks at most cover price. And I had some of them 6, 7 books. And then best friend wife, who's sitting right there, my beautiful best friend, she got sick and couldn't work anymore. She was a teacher also. So suddenly that's like 70 grand that's like gone from the family income. And I have all these books. So I went on valiantfans.com and I posted some books for sale that I was into for like $1, $2. And within 40 minutes, I made like $400, 350 some, $450. I thought, wow, this is something. So that's kind of the genesis of Valiant and me as a seller, because it kind of goes together. I always say I collect Valiant and I sell comics. I'm a Valiant fan, right? I've grown to be a comic fan, but I've always been a Valiant fan.
Wow. Yeah. And, talking about the Valiant, see, I had gotten out of comics, so I got rid of all my comics as life happens and kids come along and that kind of thing. And so when I got the first comic that I ever got was Rye 7.
Oh, there you go.
And so this was the first comic I got. And when I read it, I was like, wait a minute, the character dies.
Mm-hmm.
And then come to find out, he stayed dead, which is an amazing feat for comic books. But so Rye got me hooked. And of course, his connection, at least back in VH1 with Bloodshot, led me back to Bloodshot. But
of course.
But yeah, when I got back into comics almost 2 years ago, I went to go collecting these Valiant books again. And I was surprised about how cheaply I was getting them now as compared to what they were back in the day. Because to your point earlier, I mean, Valiant wasn't largely distributed through the newsstands like everything else was. It was comic shops, which were kind of few and far between down here. And when you found them, you're talking about $20, $40 for, something that's a dollar bin issue nowadays.
Right.
So, but yeah, pre-Unity, definitely Jim Shooter knew what he was doing. I'm fanboying out because there's a con in Huntsville, Alabama in April. And this is my list of what I'm getting signed just by Jim Shooter.
Oh, yeah.
And I like signed books. And Rags Morales, which is another Valiant artist, he's going to be there as well. So definitely looking forward to that. But he knew his stuff. Now, kind of off subject. So you collect Valiant. Do you collect the Acclaim Valiant stuff too? I know you mentioned the video stuff.
I got it. I got Valiant. Is just I'm one of those like Pokemon gotta have them all guys. I mean, I got OCD. I've been diagnosed with a little OCD, so I like it all, man. So for me, it got into the Acclaim stuff. Now, real quickly for all of our people listening, and just you talk about the price of the books. 95% of the Valiant books are 50-cent books, less than 50-cent books. But that 5%, man, there's definitely a pricey set to the Valiant book. If you're a Valiant completionist, it is going to cost you some money because there's about 5% of those books that are very expensive and hard to find. But yeah, I got into the Acclaim stuff. I bet you I've read 90% of every Valiant book. Now, the third, the VEI, the Valiant Entertainment, I read all of that up to a point. So the last couple of years, I haven't read much at all. Okay. But VH1, I read it all. And Acclaim, I never read a couple of things. I never read Dr. Tomorrow. I had it. Never read the Trinity Angels. Had it. About everything else I read. So yeah, I was into all of it, man. And there's money. I'm talking if you're interested in reselling on the secondary market, there is big cash in the Acclaim books. Some of that stuff will sell for hundreds.
Well, because they're so low print run. I mean, you're talking about the 90s towards the end of the start of the bust. I mean, so, and then you find that one person out there that goes, hey, I want it all, which somebody like me, I'm a crazy completionist. And look, I mean, I even go as far to collecting their cousins, meaning that I collect Defiant comics,
Broadway
comics, and the Gold Key characters for Solar, Turok, and Magnus.
Yeah.
So, crazy completionist.
That's part of the life, man. That's the good part of the life, and the fun, the hunt is the fun, man. That's the fun.
Well, and so I was digging through some loan boxes, which I'll go through some dollar bins, and most places you go, if you buy so many of them, they'll cut you a deal, so you're paying less than $1 for them. Sure. And I found a XO one from the Acclaim run that was from the not the Overstreet fan magazine.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, again, that's not really a big book, but it's one that, okay, I can go online and buy, but then it really becomes cost prohibitive because you got to pay for shipping and all that kind of stuff.
The XO fan, I haven't looked in a while, but that used to be like a $30-$40 book, man.
So I found it in the dollar bin, and I'm like, oh man, awesome, And the guy that was with me said, man, what you find? I said, I found a Valiant book. He was like, okay.
Hey, can I tell the quick story about finding my best find ever? We mentioned it earlier.
Sure.
So I'm at Long Beach Comic Con, setting up as a dealer. As I said, I've been a dealer for. Go ahead. You got something to say?
No, I was just saying hey to some of the people that were in the chat. Yeah.
So I'm before the show, I'm out hunting my friends' boxes. There's a guy that I bought comics from 8 times, tons of times, and of course I'm always in the Valiant boxes for me, right? For what I'm looking for. And I have one of my friends, one of my very best friends, Valiant friends, really, truly, most of my best friends in my life, I met through Valiant Comics. Truly. Like that. Like that's my squad, right? Is my Valiant guys. And he's sitting right next to me. His name is Blood. And we're looking at the Valiant books. And I'm looking and I see a Bloodshot Platinum. Now, Bloodshot Platinum is a regular Bloodshot, which is 0. Mm-hmm. But where the price is
like
blank.
This,
like that, but where the price is, it's blank. There is believed to be 20, 30 or so maybe in existence, sitting right there in the box. It's like a $1,500 book, if not more. I see it. You look at it, you're like, oh my gosh, there it is. My first one I've ever seen. I pick it up to my friend. I look at him and I say, should I buy this? And without missing a beat, he goes, I'll split it with you. I said, no, I'm good, bro. Bought it, submitted it, 9.6. Did quite well on that. That's my best pull ever. But man, I pulled Sears out, which is a Chaos Effect Red for like 50 cents. I played Unity Red for 50 cents. I've had all kinds of finds, man. Because a lot of people, comic book stores, especially if they've been in business for a while, they don't got a good taste in their mouth about Valiant. Because, Valiant was the top of the pops, and then the drop was pretty quick. So a lot of those guys got burned buying like, 2,000 hardcore number 7s.
Right.
You know what I mean? Just killed them because at that point, no one's interested in it anymore.
Yeah, that's definitely a good find, and you probably got anything that I've ever found beat there. But
that's an epic find, bro. That's an epic find.
And you're right. I mean, a lot of the comic shop, because I was in Mobile, Alabama, at a comic shop, and the guy said, "Look, I'll sell you every bit of Valiant that you can find in that box." And I did find a lot of my run fillers there, but he said I have a bad taste in my mouth because I had a shop in the '90s, and I got stuck with a lot of that stuff. And I get it, but I mean, things change. And I tell you, one of the ways they change, you're talking about error variants. When I was collecting before, errors were looked down on, second prints were looked down on, and then now they're a thing.
Yeah. Oh, crazy.
The Spider-Man 2099 rather, the error that doesn't have the shiny foil on it.
Yeah.
I was in the comic shop when they got those in, and they were messed up. They threw them away because it's like they're messed up. Nobody's going to buy these.
Right. Totally.
So, so you're talking. You talked earlier about your origin into comics, and specifically Valiant, because that was kind of your origin into comics, was Valiant itself.
Definitely.
What is your top Valiant character? If you had to pick one.
Well, it's a great question, and I get asked it often. I have to break it down into what you already mentioned as VH1, which is Valiant Heroes 1. And the VEI stuff. VEI is when they relaunched in 2012. That's the Dinesh Shamdasani run. So I would say if you're looking at VH1, my favorite character was probably Shadow Man and Master Dark. I loved Master Dark. One of my favorite. In fact, I had a Master Dark haircut when I was in college, believe it or not. I had my head shaved and the Hare Krishna ponytail on the top. I really did. When I met my wife, that's what my hair was like. And but I love Shadow Man. Absolutely love that book. That was probably always the top read on my pile. Shadow Man always went to the top of my pile. When you get into VEI, which is the 2020 relaunch, I think Josh Dysart's Harbinger run is one of the best runs in comic period, the 1 through 25. And I would put the Robert Venditti Exo Manowar right up there. I think as great as Shooter is, and obviously if you're a Valiant fan, you think Shooter is the king. I think the Dysart run on Harbinger is better. Yeah. I love that Harbinger run. So my favorite character is Toyo Harada. In fact, there's a friend of mine who's comes to my claim sales, and he's a tattoo artist, and he said, "Hey, who's your favorite comic book character?" And I said, "Actually, it's Toyo Harada." So he's doing an original something for me about Toyo. So old Valiant, Shadow Man, Master Dark, VEI. I'm gonna go Toyo Harada as my favorite character.
So talk about the variance between the two. You know, obviously for those who are in the chat or watching this on the rewind, this might be a little bit different for you. So the age-old stuff, that's what we're referring to as VH1. So when Dinesh, relaunches everything, a lot of times when comics get they do relaunches, right? It's for the worse, at least in my opinion.
Sure.
Meaning that they take the characters and they take the crux of what the character was and they miss it in the favor of trying to make something that'll sell some books, maybe catch a new reader, whatever. The exception to that in my mind was he did Valiant. He was able to bring in such talent, and the talent stayed with the crux of what the character was, and they still adapted to it.
Right.
And you mentioned Venditti's Exo. Excellent.
My guy.
That's if you've never read it, read it. And so that's an example of it right there. So like in the old Exo, he had the ring. I got the brass ring over there, the Exo ring. But when the new one launched, the ring wasn't a thing anymore. So they did away with that. They did a couple little changes, but in large part, they stuck with who Eric was.
Right.
And I really enjoyed that. You didn't lose
the core concept, right? Man out of time, right? Yeah. What I didn't like is if you look back and read those old Exo books, and again, they're good, but he was portrayed as like a Neanderthal. Yeah. Right. Remember that scene where like an early Exo, he's like hiding behind the plant because he's scared of the stuff. Just because you're from an older time, you're not a Neanderthal. Right. They still had they were still smart. They still had civilization. Was just different. The technology is what changes, right? So I think what Rob was able to do was to truly hit that, man out of time. What would it be like if someone from an age of like barbarians had the most powerful weapon known, this living suit of armor, this sentient suit of armor? And it's just an incredible run. I'm with you.
So Louis the 13th says that he's got a bunch of Exo Manowar 14s. I recently got Bart Sears to do this sketch for me.
Love it.
And it's got the ring right here, and it's kind of liquid pouring around him. And of course, Bart Sears is the one that done that cover there. I've got the pink, variant for XO15.
Sure, of course.
But Six Face says just snagged a Solar 10 second print for $5 today. So
hey,
good
great book, man. Great book. Great book. Yeah, that XO14 when Bart Sears came on, that was kind of like, to me, one of the, if you look back on it, one of the first, and no offense to any of those guys, where it was kind of like a change.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Shooter was out. They were trying to kind of bring in someone splashy, left the stories a little bit. I did a Valiant podcast with my friends forever. This was, I don't know, 10, 12, 15 years ago, well before there was a lot of podcasts about. And we did it for years. There's like 70 episodes. We did it for like 10 years in a row. And when we would end the show, every show, we would end it with me saying, "Feel my power." That was like our sign off, "Feel my power." Because in some of those EXO books in like the 50s, when it's pretty bad,
yeah,
I mean, there'd be like 40 words in the entire book. Like it was all splash and all, feel my power. And I like Bart Sears, all that stuff. But I think if you look at the history of Valiant, that was the first time they kind of brought in a big new kind of, hey, look who we have now on our book. And if you look at the course of Valiant, you can sort of see a change at that time.
Oh yeah. Yeah. It was going downhill at that point. I mean, I would say the same thing with Dan Jurgens' run and Solar. It wasn't what it used to be. And
well, how could it be, man? That pre-Unity stuff was just so incredible.
Yeah. I'm a huge Barry Windsor Smith fan.
Oh, come on. Archer and Armstrong 0 through 12. It's one of the best runs of comics ever.
Did you see where Dinesh posted that he got the original art for the Eternal Warriors and stuff?
I saw it.
And it was definitely cool. As far as talking about Barry Windsor Smith, this is one of the books that I got from you, which was signed by Barry Windsor Smith and yep. And so got it pressed, sent in, and got it graded. And
they verified it, right?
Came back either a point higher than what you grade or exactly what you graded it. So just FYI to anybody else. Yeah. So
the signature is verified, right, by them.
Yeah.
Because his signature is not really a signature; it's like a scribble.
Right. Yeah. His signature was verified. There's Bob Layton's right there.
Yeah.
His is a little more understandable.
Yeah. That's a great book, man. Not a lot of Barry Windsor Smith signatures, man. There's not a lot of those.
So, but yeah, just killer art in those Solar, the early Archer and Armstrongs, the Eternal Warrior, and talking about how they updated the characters. Eternal Warrior was one of those. I like how they did the battle axe.
Yeah.
That's his, basic weapon now. They really didn't have before. I have tried to get one of those battle axes.
Yeah,
they're expensive. There's one on eBay the guy won't come off of, and
I know who it is.
Oh, you do? Okay.
he ain't ever coming off it. It's great. Well, if it's the same one, I think.
Well, there's only one on eBay, so
yeah,
odds are it is. But it's in there.
I like that stuff. I like to collect the hard to find stuff. I got the books. I got great books too. But man, my collection is, my proudest points are the like hard to find stuff, the truly rare stuff. That's what I really like.
And now I've been actually picking up some foreign editions of various comics, and so I've been going back and picking up some of the ones for Valiant. Like I got the newer Valiant. That's the French Canadian edition right there. But yeah, because like it's no fun. I mean, I've got all of Uncanny X-Men volumes 1 through 5. Okay. Everybody's got that. Not everybody's got that.
That's not true. Come on, don't do people like that. Everyone
that's not true. But I mean, the giant size X-Men 1s and the X-Men 1s and the X-Men 4s. I've got the Hulk 181 and all that kind of stuff. And not to minimize that. I mean, they're great parts of my collection, but to me is the story behind getting it. And if I can just go click it on eBay and get it, it's really not fun for me because.
Well, and that's the thing where you look at, I think what you're trying to say is that not everyone has a giant size #1, but you can. Right now, you can get one, and that does not demean it. I have a couple of them, and and everyone, maybe if people know who I am, I sell comic books. So I've been selling comic books for 17 years and professionally for like 10. So I'm not. I mean, that's part of the business. But the things that I collect that really move my heart are the true, rare items.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? My treasure chest. Like you said, I brought out a Shadow Man Gold, right? Again, you can buy that on eBay, but it's still a rare book to come by. Some of these things I got next to me, these are rare items. These are the prize of my collection. This t-shirt is a variant of this t-shirt. This was given to me on the floor of San Diego Comic-Con by my friend Dinesh and my friend Fred Pierce.
Oh wow.
They made a white shirt, which I have, and a yellow shirt, which I don't have. And they made this gray one. They didn't like the way it looked. I think there's 3 or 4 of them in existence. So I like to wear this shirt because no one else is going to have this shirt. I'm the only one that has this shirt. So that to me is something that moves me. You know what I mean?
Well, now we've mentioned Dinesh several times. And of course, what do you think about what he's doing with Bad Idea?
Well, first, let me say for the record, and anyone knows me knows this, Dinesh and I are great friends. So anything I say is going to be colored with that. He's truly one of my best friends. So I just was actually texting and calling him today, actually, for something. So I think what he's doing is great. I don't always agree with everything, but I do with a lot of things. I thought the Hero trade, what they did is amazing. I think that Dinesh truly is one of the smartest people that I've ever been around in my entire life. He is brilliant. He is driven. He is so creative. He loves comic books. Listen, I'm not going to spill no beans. He's doing fine financially. He don't need to be doing nothing, right? He could just sit back for the rest of his life and his kids' lives and probably their lives and just chill. But he loves it. He loves creating. He loves comic books. So I got my pull list set up for the Bad Idea books, and I'll tell everyone else on YouTube land right now. I highly, if you are interested in the how am I say the financial part of the comic books, where you like to buy a book and you want to see it go up in price, like a giant size X-Men, right? Mm-hmm. You bought a giant size X-Men last year. You have that book right now. You did real good. My friend Dinesh, and this isn't spilling no beans. This is, I think, public knowledge, I think. But, you know, he has an office at Sony Pictures Studio. He signed a deal with Sony where they get the first right to get all of his stories he produces. He made the show The Witcher. You know what I mean? He's a mogul, bro. He's a legit mogul. I can't wait to get these Bad Idea books. All it takes is one, and it's going to be, I think the Bad Idea books are going to be all over the little YouTube and the little like top 10s, all that stuff. Mm-hmm. I will also tell you they're all being allocated, meaning shops that think they're going to get 25 are not. So friends, YouTube friends, get your comic shop, try to get it. Now, the one bad thing about Bad Idea, they're not going to be at every comic shop. There's only a limited amount of shops. So go check out my boys at Bad Idea. Do all you can to get those books. I think they're going to be great. I believe we talked about Robert Venditti. He's writing the second book, Tankers. I've talked to him a little bit about it. I don't want it to be spoiled. I think it's going to be great. And
Dinesh just seems like he knows what he's doing. I mean, if you look at what he did with Valiant, the covers, I mean, well, we won't go into the raw deal. So we'll just, you know, him leaving. I said we won't go into the deal with him leaving, you know, Valiant or whatever like that, I guess. But
he did all right.
But he's okay for himself.
He did all right.
So, yeah. But I mean, the reality of it is, I mean, this guy knows what he's doing. He can attract talent, and it's definitely somebody that if I was DC Comics or AT&T and I had DC, I'd be going, man, we need you, like, over here.
Yeah. That would have been the move. But you know, he's a little bit of a rebel, a little bit of a maverick. You know what I mean?
Well, most of those kind of people are. You know, somebody that has that kind of a brain and head on his shoulders. Usually, they're like, dude, I'm up here. I'm already thinking 10 steps ahead of you. Um, and they don't like the corporate structure from the standpoint of you got some guy, corporate overlord in an ivory tower that has never done what he's asking everybody else to do. He
Yeah.
just thinks it's a great idea.
Yeah,
So
I think bad idea. Listen, but really, let's also couch it with this. Anyone who's a comic book person knows if it ain't Marvel, it ain't DC, man, it is tough. It is tough. You can count the books on your hand that is a non-Marvel and a non-DC book that has been able to have any kind of sustained audience. It is a very, very select group. A lot of the stuff comes in and out. I mean, the Something's Killing the Children right now is a big old hot stuff. Well, so was Seven to Eternity. All of the YouTube shows, all of the chat boards, man, Seven to Eternity, they're making a movie. That's the $1 million. I'm not saying it's about that book. You like I like Valiant, right? So, I mean, what am I saying? But it's a struggle to go against Marvel and DC. But I would be surprised if one of those first stories, there's not a release that comes out pretty quickly to say they're already been picked up. And it's all it takes nowadays. You know what I mean? ENIAC Tankers, Walesville looks great. It all looks great. So yeah, I'll give it 2 thumbs up. But again, that's my friend. Robert Venditti is my friend. I know these guys. Hunter is my friend. Warren Simons is one of my great friends, and it's colored for me. I think the track record speaks for itself.
Sure. Well, so what about top storylines?
Okay. Well, I think, again, I divide it into the VH1 and the VEI. I think we've already talked about the VEI as Harbinger and EXO. I thought were great. I think the second run of both of those stories are 10 out of 10s, the second arcs of both of those stories. If you kick it back to VH1, then of course you're talking about Pre-Unity. I mean, I'll put that stuff up with almost anything. But really, I think out of VH1, what I probably enjoy the most is the Archer and Armstrong one, the Barry Windsor Smith. 0 through 12, Barry Windsor Smith run. He doesn't do 9. He does the rest. It is absolutely incredible. I also really love Eternal Warrior 6 and 7, which is the Master Dark Barry Windsor Smith run he does there with the Bogna Ka. That's one of my favorite stories, period. I also really liked Harbinger Wars from the Harbinger Wars 1 from VEI. Now, I'm a little biased, and I don't often bring it up, but I'm on a Valiant podcast, a Valiant YouTube, so I'm gonna do it. But Josh Dysart, who's a great friend of mine, who was the Harbinger writer, wrote Harbinger Wars. He introduced a new character, Generation Zero, Kronos. And that's me. His name is Christian. And on our podcast, Dysart came off and said, I named him after you. So I don't get to often drop that so boldly, but that's me. So Kronos is named after me. So I love that story.
There you go.
That was my guy. And every con I would see those guys, and Dinesh would come up to me. He'd say, Christian, I'm so sorry, man. And I'm like, what? He's like, oh, I thought you found out already. I'm like, what? He's like, oh, we're killing you in the comic books. What? He would say all of these terrible things like you're going to prison and you're going to get shanked with gonorrhea and all this crazy stuff. And I was just like, what? And it was like this thing, they just tormented me. But I really liked Harbinger Wars. I thought there's a lot of promise in that book. It's old, besides Pre-Unity, like I said, I like that 2-issue arc in Eternal Warrior with Master Dark. I think the Eternal Warrior is really great. I also think Shadow Man Volume 2, starting with issue 16 to 20 is really good. And Shadow Man Volume 3 is really good too. But I like Shadow Man. So I think those are ones that probably stand out to me the most. Moments, like when I'm reading Valiant, it like it's happening to you. That panel where Eric comes out of Unity and he's been growing in the ground for like 1,000 years. To see that panel and to mentally deal with what that panel was telling you was mind-blowing, was absolutely mind-blowing. So that's a like standout moment as a Valiant fan. In Rye 4, no, Rye, whenever Japan lets out the plasma cannon the first time, it's a double-page shot, and you have Japan, which is a spaceship, it looks like a dragon, and it shoots out the cannon to fight the spider aliens. That first double-page spread was like looked like a movie, breathtaking as a young person. That was just incredible. In VEI, when Livewire, who was one of my favorite characters, when she went against Toyo, I think in Harbinger 2, you were like, oh, this really stood out because no one goes against Toyo. No one. Toyo. She did. So those are the kind of little moments that I love. What about for you, bro? What's some of the stuff you like?
Well, talking about the newer stuff, I liked Rye. I liked Clayton Crane's run on Rye.
Epic.
Gorgeous, great storytelling. That was when he was doing both the interiors and the covers, but even the variant covers, were good on that. But I'm a Rye guy. Bloodshot's okay. Have you read the new Rye that just recently ended?
I haven't. I did like the Analog Man Bloodshot run, and Kent did that. It was good. But I haven't read the recent stuff.
So the most recent stuff, Dan Abnett does the writing on it, and it was okay. I mean, it wasn't, top tier stuff, but it wasn't bad like some of the stuff has been. But as far as at the end, not to spoil it for you, but they were talking about he was going against the Dark, D-A-R-K, and so then at the end, the last issue, I'm like, okay, this is starting to get good. And at the last issue,
they
the
go
Dark comes out.
Is it Master Dark?
It is.
Oh.
And so Shadow Man's coming back. Colin Bunn's going to be writing it. And so so the at the end it says, no, you mistook me. I am Dark, and it spells it.
D-A-R-Q-U-E. Yeah, see that's the kind of thing where you get a little tingling. I like it. Yeah.
So it was pretty cool. And so I love the original Rye, and the second Rye just didn't hold me. So when talking about
as in after Rye 0 or the Rye in VH2,
right?
Because the first Rye is only alive for like 6 issues.
Yeah.
And then you get the second one.
And he goes until, Magnus has to kill him, because he's had his mind taken over. And then his son becomes Rye for just a few issues. And then he didn't get rebooted until, because Acclaim didn't reboot him, did they?
No.
I didn't think they did. I mean, they rebooted everybody else. And most of the stuff that Acclaim did when Dinesh came in, they didn't really keep a lot of the Acclaim stuff, but there were a few things. Like Bloodshot's name, they kept it, whereas it used to be Michael Lazarus originally.
Well, actually, in the Bloodshot movie, a lot of that was going to be based off of the Acclaim book. In fact, in the first 3, 4, 5, 6 runs of that script, it was Chainsaw. It was Chainsaw. Like Forever was the bad guy, and then at the end they kind of dropped it a little bit. And changed it at the last little piece of that. Did you see? I'm sure you saw the Bloodshot movie.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think about it?
It was good for what it was, right? I mean, it's an action flick. I mean, you don't expect Vin Diesel to be like some poetic actor. Right. I mean, you like hit him up, drop him down, kind of action flick, which is what I would expect from a Bloodshot, right?
Called Bloodshot.
The main gripe I had, aside from his hairdo, was him not being pale white with the Bloodshot, logo.
There's a lot of guys that have that issue. I thought it was really, really good for what, like you said, for what it was. I think it could have. I think there's some parts that could have been better. I was very fortunate. My daughter and I, in fact, I think she's over here. We got to go to Sony and watch a really, really early run of it. No CGI in it at all. And we got to what Dinesh was there, and the director was there, and the 2 editors were there, and they grilled my kid, man. They didn't care what I had to say. They grilled my kid, and they made a lot of changes that I thought were really good. So I thought the movie was really good. I think they had a real shot to make something. Then the DMG stuff happened, and like you mentioned, Dinesh was kind of forced out of VEI. I will tell you that when they were making that movie, that wasn't the plan. Like they had the plan. There was going to be Bloodshot 2. There was going to be Harbinger 1. They had already written the cut scenes that was going to introduce Toyo. They had 2 of them. They hadn't decided which one they were going to do yet. I could probably spill this tea, I think. They had 2 ideas. One was going to be Vin, full gear Bloodshot, kind of going through the forest, coming up to the temple in Harbinger 1 VEI with the bleeding monk.
Okay, yeah.
Right? And the big dire wolf was going to come, and it was going to be Toyo telepathically speaking to him, this massive, huge wolf. And they were going to see the bleeding monk. So that's what they were leading into. The other idea was like kind of like a diner scene with Bloodshot, and then they give him the tablet and say, here's your next mission. And it was going to be so that was all like going to happen. And then, what is pretty well documented what went down with, and all them. But, I think the movie, if you haven't seen it, you should see it. I mean, it's called Bloodshot. I think that the scene in the tunnel is as good as you can get for an action scene. Right. Almost Matrix level entertainment. So that's pretty good, right? It's pretty good.
Well, and the other thing that nowadays people compare everything to Marvel, right? And so then Marvel sets this standard, right, wrong, or indifferent, sets this standard. And if you don't adhere to it, all of a sudden you're bad. Right. And I don't think that's fair.
It's hard. Well, that's what's happened to DC, right?
Yeah.
That's what's happened. It's like everyone has placed so much of their hope into the Snyder Cut, right? I hope the Snyder Cut is great. As a comic book guy, I need DC to be great in the cinema. We all want that. But like you said, Marvel is just so incredible that it's like we all wanted Wonder Woman 1984 to be a 10. And we all said it was good. Where if we really looked at it, we're kind of like, it was okay. But we really want it to be good so bad.
Right.
So if you look at a lot of the DC flicks and you look at Bloodshot, they're really similar and really good. I think Bloodshot is going to become one of these cult classics down the line. The pandemic killed it.
Horrible timing.
Killed it. And I think it's really good. And I think down the line it's going to become a John Wick level cult movie with a lot of people.
Well, they're saying they're going to do a 2. The only thing now that they've sold off the rights to Harbinger to Paramount, so you can kiss Connected Universe goodbye, because I mean that's Sony and Marvel's problem now with Spider-Man. They don't want to really play well together. So, oh well. But yeah, and that's one of the things with Valiant is the Connected Universe. So it has the 3rd largest Connected Universe, and I would argue, and it's in fairness to Marvel and DC, you're talking about a lot of years worth of stuff.
Oh, yeah. So much continuity.
You're talking about to be able to cohesively brand a Connected Universe. That's a large undertaking. And I felt like that they did it well, where one person runs into the other and it makes sense with the other story and all that kind of stuff. So, and there's gravitas. I mentioned this earlier in what happens, meaning that the people die, somebody else picks up the mantle. And that makes a difference. I mean, if everybody resurrects the next issue, it's like, okay, they're dying. Oh, well, they'll be back.
Right.
And it kind of ruins it for you.
Sure.
So we talked about, what about your favorite artist?
Well, I would say with me in comic books, I am 95% a words guy.
Okay.
So for me, if the art is So it's like there's some where the art's like really, really great, and then there's 85% where it's sort of just don't get in the way of the story, and then there's some where it's like, okay, this is really bad, right? So I don't really know if I have a favorite artist per se. I mean, again, of course, I guess I like that, that the pre-Unity stuff. I love Barry Windsor Smith. He's one of my favorite creators, period. I love the look. Everyone's got the same face. I'm okay with it. So I don't know if I'm the guy to talk about favorite artists.
So I've always said that the art brings you in, the story keeps you.
Sure.
And so when I was a kid, if the art wasn't good, I didn't even give the story a chance.
Right.
Now I'll give it a chance if the story's good. But what I found, and tell me if you think something different. But what I found is, and I guess there is a kind of a cutoff that at some point where it's too wordy, but there's not a lot of story told, even though the comics are getting more and more expensive.
Yeah.
And if the story is good, okay, I'll stay on board. But when the story's kind of yeah, and then the art's kind of meh,
yeah,
I mean, there's no wonder that people are buying less and less comics.
Yeah. I know, like, give me an example. Like, I read the 3 Jokers that came out, and I thought the art was really good. I thought the art I really enjoyed the art. It was really good. But it's the story I take away from it. But I thought the art was really good. So, like, Valiant artists, there's, again, like I said, a lot of it, it's a story for me. And that's just kind of me, I guess.
So Rob Liefeld, who's always known for being a kind and gentle sort, I'm saying that in jest. He's always known for being bombastic. It's his personality, but he does a podcast called Robservations. And one of his Robservations was that when Image and Valiant came out about the same time, and he said, we were known at Image for being the splash page, the big pouches, the big muscles. We were about the art, but Valiant was about the story. So he actually did a podcast and talking about Valiant Comics. But yeah, he said Valiant was the story. And of course, not to take away from some of the art, especially in that pre-Unity stuff that we just mentioned, but that was the story. It was the story about when, what's his name was killed, and then of course that they write Magnus as being his son who's sent into the future. There was that story that, okay, yeah, I can really get with this. Torque. There you go.
Yeah.
And then of course they didn't make Torque die, they made Flamingo die in the new one. But yeah. So I guess there's some so what's your favorite writer then?
Ever?
Let's say Valiant, and then you can say ever.
Here's what I'll say to not make anyone too upset. Let's go with Barry Windsor Smith, because if I say Rob, then Josh Dysart's going to be mad. If I say Josh, then Rob's going to be mad. And they already, both of them give me grief of who I like more. So let's go with Barry Windsor Smith.
Okay.
I don't want them. Those guys are always on my. They're always mad at me. I always get like texts.
So yeah, well, we don't want to get anybody mad with you for being on here and spilling the beans. So before we do get to the point where we want to show off some books, I'm going to ask you a question about.
I got some show and tell, bro.
So I was going to ask you about the Valiant Validated. Do you have all those validated signature series?
You know what? That's a great question, and I was at about 99.2% complete at some point. I'm not anymore. I've sold off a lot. There's stuff that I have. I have all of my original pre-Unity books. I've sold off most of that stuff. It's funny that there is 3 Valiant books that I've never owned. 3. I've never owned the Diamond trade paperbacks of Unity, which run you, I think, about $350 for a set. I had one in my hand at Frankensons. The guy wanted $90. I just didn't pull the trigger. I couldn't do it, and I've regretted it forever. And the other one I've never owned is the super hard to find impossible to find. Eternal Warrior 27 VVSS book, the Valiant Validated Series book. That book, I've only ever seen one in my life. I held it in my hand. I was at a comic shop in San Bernardino. This is, gosh, I don't know, 10 years ago, 15 years ago. And I said, how much for this? And he looked at it, he goes, and he saw the signature and he goes, I can't sell it to you. I'm like, what do you mean you can't sell it to me? He's like, I got to do my research and see what it is. I'm like, well, how about $50? He's like, that just made it worse. He was like, no way. He's like, if you're going to offer me $50 for this book, which is a 50-cent book, no. But I think I got one coming. I got one coming. So I love signed books, and those are all the prized possessions of my collection. But most of the books that I own that I love signed are ones I got signed myself. I do have some VVS books kicking around in my collection, but I used to have all of them. But the Time Walker one is super hard to come by. I used to have all of them. The Rye 21 with the baby is really hard to come by. I got that. But that Eternal Warrior 27, that's the jam right there.
Well, I had a friend in the community.
Books. I'm sorry. How many of those books I pulled out of a box? I must have lifted up 500 to 600 of those books trying to look out of it, because you're flipping through a box. Oh, nope. Oh, man.
Yeah, just crossing your fingers that it got stuck in a dollar bin somewhere.
Man.
Because the regular one is a dollar bin book, right? And so, yeah, I had a friend in the community that was collects Valiant. And so he had got all of them down to like just one, needing just one of them. And
sure,
he found a guy that was selling them as a set. So he's like,
all of the VVS books? Wow.
So he bought the set.
How much?
Which led him, I don't remember how much he told me he paid for it. But he bought the whole set, which left him with doubles. And so I bought his doubles from him. And so that's how I got my Time Walker one. But he did not have a double of the Eternal Warrior one.
So he needed the 27. You don't have that one. That's when he did that. That is one of the hardest Valiant books to find. That's easy top 10, might even get in the top 5 hardest Valiant books to find. Gosh, that book is a nightmare to find.
Yeah, and they did varying releases on there. Some are higher than other ones. That one's got to be one of the lower ones to be so hard to find.
I think it's the last one. It's the last one they did. It's the last one they did, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, in fact, I know the person that has the stamp now.
Oh.
Myself, I guess.
Well, hey, let's show some books off.
Ooh, okay. I got a lot of stuff to show. So we've already gone long. I'll keep talking all day. I don't know how long you usually go or not, but I brought a couple of different things to kind of give you an idea. I just grabbed one of my treasure boxes and I got a couple of things. So I'm going to give you a couple of books. I'm going to give you a couple different things to take a look at. So let's start with one of my favorite books, right? And as I said, my favorite books are signed books. And this is one of them right here. It's an Exo Manowar Gold. We still there, brother?
Yeah, I'm here. I just pushed you big screen.
Okay, I missed your face. So this is an Exo Manowar Gold. This is the first Exo #1 from 2012. Mine is signed. You know what? I'm taking out the bag so there's no glare. Mine is signed by the author, my friend Robert Venditti, right there. But what I love about this book so much, and this is kind of a Valiant thing for, like, how am I going to say this without offending nobody? There's a group of us that have been fortunate to become in the circle of the Valiant. I don't know how to explain it. Whatever. First signed copies are a big deal for a lot of Valiant fans, meaning the first time a creator signs a book. And it started right here. You can see Robert Venditti right there, and hope you can see it. It says first signed copy. Can I see it? Where is it? Right there. So it's the first time that he signed this book. This book was given out at the first VEI San Diego Comic Con panel. And Dinesh had the first of the new gold books in the back, gave it a free gold book to everyone that went to the panel, which is what they did for the first 2 years of Valiant, gave everyone a free gold book that went. And as Dinesh gave me my gold book, Rob was still up on the little front area where all the guys from the panel were sitting. And he said, "Hey, Christian, come over here. And he goes, "You want me to sign that for you?" I'm like, "Yeah." And I'm, "Have you signed this before?" He goes, "No." I said, "Hey, write first signed copy on it." It's the first one he's ever signed. So this is the first signed copy of this book, meaning the first time Rob signed this book is this book. And once it's first signed copy, you can't write it again. I love this book because it was given to me at the Valiant panel at San Diego, the first time these books ever went out, and my friend Rob pulled me up to the front to sign it for me. So it means something to me. It's one of the most valuable books in my possession to me.
Sure.
So in that same vein, and I probably have about that many first signed books, which are the truly a one of one, the only one in the world that has that. And I love this book, Exo Manowar 49, polybagged, right? Polybagged. For Elveen, first signed polybag copy that's on the book. Dinesh and Rob went to the distributor where they make the books and they polybag the books together. Rob pulled a book off of the conveyor belt, signed it to me, first signed copy, ran it through the machine, grabbed it, and got it to me.
Oh, wow.
It's signed in the official polybag, first signed copy. And what I love about that is there's my guy at the place thinking of me. And that's what I collect. That's what moves me, is something that nobody else has. No one else has this. They did, I think, 3 of them. The first one they did was for me, and then Dinesh has one, and Rob has one. And that's it.
Sweet.
That's the kind of stuff that I have, and I got a bunch about that much. But I want to show you one more of those first signed, and we'll go to something else that is really, really cool. All right. My VEI Valiant fans will recognize this book. This is Exo Manowar 15, the 1 in 50. A hard book to come by. I mean, how many comic stores were ordering 50 copies of Exo Manowar 15? Not a lot. So I haven't looked in a while. This used to be like $150, $175 variant, just because it's a hard book to come by. But as they were making these books, Exo Manowar 15, what happened to a handful of them?
You got the error.
There's an error with Quantum and Woody on the inside. So you have the 1 in 50 variant cover with the Quantum and Woody on the inside. Mm-hmm. A super rare and hard to find book. Mine is first signed copy Robert Venditti, first signed copy James Asmus, who was the writer of Quantum and Woody. So it's a double first signed copy error variant. Again, I like it because no one else in the world has it.
Sure.
So that's the kind of stuff that moves me. Let's show you something else a little different. All right, let's kick it back to the old school. Harbinger #1. Now, on the Valiant fans board, which for years and years was the home of Valiant, when Valiant was a dead universe, it wasn't publishing comics anymore. It was a thriving comic book message board. And what people would do on this Valiant fans board is they would put together fan products, fan-made books, fan-made products. So this is one of the Valiant fans, signed by Shooter, J.J. Jackson, and Bob Layton. Only 53 of them exist. It came with the Harbinger one with the coupon. What happened is one of the Valiant guys on the board was at a show in New York, ran across the guy that had a case of Harbinger ones. Bought them all. Bought them all. And instead of selling them, he decided to make this project for us. He got Shooter, Bob Layton, and Janet Jackson to sign the book. It also came with the transcript of the panel that they had. It came with this is the recording of the panel. And it also came with a one-of-a-kind Sean Chen Harbinger poster. And it's signed by Sean Chen, the inks, and the colorist. So you would get all of this. So like this cost me like, I think probably $50 on the Valiant passport, and would sell out in like a second. And there's only 53 of them in the world. And so stuff like that is what I collect. And I have a bunch of those project books, and every once in a while you'll see those books pop up on eBay and they sell for an astronomical amount. And you're like, wow, why is that selling for so much? It's because for the Valiant fans, that is what really, really moves us. So to give you like an idea of a couple more of these cool project books, this is the San Diego Comic Con 2007, Archer and Armstrong Zero. And you can see how it's signed by everybody who was at the panel. Check this out. Look at this first Bloodshot book. That little, look at that remark right there.
Sweet.
Comes with an original Armstrong original piece of art on the back. And here is the sister of it, the Shadow Man one. This is a print. That's a print by Bob Hall. That's an original piece of art. So those are some of the books that really, really move me, are kind of the unique things like that no one else has. A couple of things I want to show you. Check this out. This is from C2E2 2013. When you do a show, shows give you a little banner like this. I've had 100 of these. This, of course, is the Valiant one, signed by everyone. Clayton Henry, Miko Suyan, Robert Venditti, Dinesh, Hunter, all of the crew. But what I love about this piece is the back of it. It says, Robert Venditti's visual aid in explaining Exo Manowar. That's how time-space travel works in the Valiant universe, as drawn by my friend Venditti.
Okay.
So this is the type of stuff that I collect. No one in the world has this. This is the only one. So this is what my collection. Again, I'm not trying. My daughters would say, "Man, Dad, why are you flexing?" I'm not trying to flex. I never get to talk about this stuff. So this is what I'm talking about. This is what I collect. Another thing that I like a lot. Maybe you have seen these.
9-cut pages.
These are the flats for the chromium flats. Mine, of course, signed by my friend Rob. But these are the unused chromium flats for Armor Hunters. I love that. Now, a couple more things. Oh, this is really cool, too. My Harbinger patch, the Bluebird patch. That was a handmade run by a friend of mine on the boards. Let me show you a couple more things. And I could keep going, but I know people probably like, this is stupid, but I'll do a couple more.
Yeah, come on.
So I like the things that are special, that mean something to me, right? Like, listen, I love this too. Where'd it go? I love this Bloodshot water bottle. Dinesh made 35 of these for the employees of Valiant. He only needed like 19, so there was like 16 available. They brought him to a show, so there's only, I think, 35 of these he made. It's an awesome, it's like embossed water bottle. There's only 35 of these in the whole world. Mine's unused, so that's what I like. But I like the things that are personal, right? When my friend Rob goes and writes on the book and then gets it put through the machine. Like that, it's cool, right? Mm-hmm. But I mean, he's thinking about me. He's there. Like that's how good of a friend I am. That's how I mean to him in his heart, that he's thinking of me. And that's, again, I'm not trying to flex on no one. It just makes me feel good to talk about it, right? This is another similar book right here. Exo Manowar, the hardcover. This is the variant of the hardcover. There is 1,000 of these made. The special ones have this extra page in the front, hand signed and numbered by Matt Kent. There's only 1,000 of these. So there's hardcovers that don't have this page. So I like this, but what I really like is my friend Robert Myers, who was one of the editors at the time at Valiant. He walked around the office and had everyone sign this book for me. He said, hey, this is for Christian. Everyone sign this book. So it's the fact that he walked around and did it. That's what moves me, right? So those are the kind of things that I really get interested in, really like move my collection. I mean, I can show you the variants. I can show you the cool books. I got the glass. I got the Bloodshot one that's made of like steel or whatever that is. I got all that, right? But it's a thing like that that really moves my heart. I'll do one more for sure, and then listen, we could be done, or I could go for another hour, whatever. So it's not a Valiant book. It's a Planetary hardcover. And but my good friend David Barron, who did a lot of color work for Valiant, also was the colorist on Planetary. And he knows that Planetary is one of my favorite series ever. And actually, this book was a gift to me from my friend Andrew. He bought me the hardcovers when I'm a cancer survivor, and I was going through cancer, and it was really touch and go there for a while. And he bought me these books, and because I love Planetary. Well, my friend David Barron is the colorist on this book, and we got to talking one day about how much I like Planetary. He's like, oh, I'm the colorist. I'm like, no way. I love that book. I love the colors. He's like, yeah, well, thanks. Cool. So he said, hey, bring me your hardcover to the next show. Bring the hardcover to the next show. So the back and the front of this hardcover looks just like this. It's the same exact page in the back and the front. You got Elijah Snow right here, and you have this back page. Every time I see my friend David Barron, we add something to the book.
Oh, wow.
So this, every time I've seen him at a show, he'll draw one figure. So this is one of my proudest, valued possessions that I have. I'm not saying it's one of the most expensive. It's the one that means the most to me.
Sure. Because
my friend David Barron is at a show making his living. Every moment for these creators at a show is money. Every moment's money, right? And he says, hey, bring me that book. I'm going to make you this, right? And as soon as shows start again, we're going to get up to the next page, right? And we're going to keep moving on. So even though it's not a Valiant book, it's a Valiant connected thing. And that's how I met David. And he's a great friend of mine, right? So those are the things that really move me. The unique, the rare, the things that there's some sort of personal. I mean, I got stuff like this, you know, and that's cool, right? Look at that awesome Bloodshot right there. That's so cool. Like I have that, right? But like you said, you can click it, you can buy that stuff. You can't, anything I showed you right now, you can't click on it. You can't, you know what I mean? I have it. I'm the only one that has it. You know, now the Harbinger book, there's 53 of those. You can go get those. You can get those. There's 53 of them. It's hard to find. Probably not one now, but you can get it. You know, I mean, when you're looking at like the hard to find variants and the things like that, you know, I mean, not everyone, but everyone's kind of got the one in 50s and the one in 200s, and everyone's got like the metals and all that stuff. And this is really cool. I really do like that idea though. That's cool. That's that Kevlar one. I really like that, you know. And I got a full set of the golds, and I have all of that stuff. But it's you know, it's all of these first signed books that I have that means so much to me. All of these are first signed by my friends. You know, there's my guy Dice Art right there. These are all the ones that matter to me because that's what moves me. You know, that's what moves me. So it's that individual that individual thing that really moves me. And I'll show you one more, and I promise I'll be done. So as I mentioned a few times, I think every year for the last 12 years, 11 years, Valiant fans get together at San Diego Comic-Con. We have a poker game. And it started out with like 7 of us in a room. And then it got to like 9 of us in a room. And then one time Dinesh came. And then before you know it, like all of Valiant is there. And what we did on that very first game is my friend, and I can't say his name, I'm sorry. He brought a set of hardcore gold, and all of the guys that were there signed it. So these are just Valiant fans. They ain't nobody famous. These are just my friends. And whatever, and that was like your gift to the game. And then what started happening is we started doing that more again, where you have all of these books signed by everyone who was at this poker game. And these are the books that you're getting. But what's cool is now you're looking at books signed by the creators, signed by the artists. So these are all of the things that really move me. And it's these poker books, like, look, like that's from the 8th annual poker game. And we have that book. You mentioned the Shadow Man Gold. Check that out. Right? So that's not for everybody. And then we'll also do something cool in the back. They'll give us something like that. Or look at this. I mean, this is a stack of the 1 to 50s, and we all defaced it by signing it ourselves. There's your boy right there, Elveens. That's me right there, ELV. So this book, one more thing, never released. They never released this book. This is the XO3 blank. They never released it. Only place it was ever distributed was at this poker game, and that's it. So those are the things that kind of move me, my friend. Those are the things that keep me moving. You know, I'm always adding to my Valiant collection. You know, I sell Valiant books. I hold Valiant books. My original stuff I still hold on to. I'll never get rid of that. The stuff that I bought off the rack and the stuff that I reread, those are mine, man. You know, every once in a while, like you said, I'll bring out a couple good Valiant books, you know, at the lives. And they all sell real quick, man. There's a lot of Valiant fans. There really is. But the stuff I've shown you right here, nah. You know, there's no value to this stuff. You know, I mean, it means so much to me. And, you know, what I'll do with it at the end, give it away. Who knows? Maybe I don't know what we'll do with it. But everyone, thanks for indulging me. I rarely get to show off, but that's the stuff that I like, my friend.
Well, hey, this was a flexing zone. So tell your daughters that it was perfectly okay for you to flex like that. You know, and so that's definitely fun. So what's your plans this year? I mean, I don't know about California, but I mean, are they going to have San Diego Comic-Con? You know,
I think there's rumblings. You know, we're out here. I'm out here in LA County, which is pretty much one of the worst places in the world for the virus. It's getting better now. You know, WonderCon obviously is canceled, which is a big deal out here. I just don't see how they could do San Diego. I just don't. I don't see it. I think we are kind of hoping that the end of this year you might get to something. I know my friends who run the Ontario Comic Show. I've been talking to them, and we're talking about a couple of dates which they think might work. I'm telling them push as far back as you can. So we'll keep doing the lives, because it's a lot of fun for us and a lot of fun for my family. We will get back to the shows. I do not think I will get back to the crazy schedule I was doing, because truthfully, the lives have just been so successful. And I think the digital selling is here to stay, not only in comic books, but just in commodities, just in grocery stores, in cars. I think that digital selling is here to stay. I do think there will be comic shows and different places in the country. There, like you said, there's a show coming up here. I was just talking to a friend of mine from New Jersey on another one of his shows, and he said he went to there's been shows up in that area. There ain't been nothing out here in SoCal. I think we'll get it, you know, but again, you know, a lot of times I'm doing these shows, bro, and you can't get on the booth. I mean, every space around my booth is 20 feet by 10 on a corner. You can't get to it. You have to wait to get to the boxes. I don't know if I see that again. Like, what does that look like? You know what I mean? So that's a larger thing and a kind of a bummer to end or to talk about now. But when the big shows come back, I'll do the big shows. I love the show in Phoenix. I love WonderCon. I love the LA show. You know, so we'll probably do like 4 or 5 instead of like 10 to 14.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of these like shows, man, I'd wake up at 2:30 in the morning, get packed up, drive on out, get there at 5 in the morning, set up, be on my feet for 8 hours, go back home, and then go teach the next day, right? Then go again. I got a job. I got to teach America's youth the next day. And I just don't know if that is going to be worth it anymore. When I could just sit in my living room, bro, turn the camera on, and I mean, we're pretty successful. You know, I got good books. I undergrade and I do good prices. So the books fly out of here, man. You know, right. But we will do shows. I miss talking to people about comics. I really do. You learn a lot from people, you know, especially in my line of work, which is selling comic books. You learn a lot, man. It's like I learn a lot more than by the time you get it on the websites and the Instagrams and the YouTubes. I already know about it. I've already been acquiring the books because I'm learning from the people. You know what I mean? So I'll still do shows. I don't know what it's gonna look like yet. I don't know if anyone does. You know,
sure.
Are we gonna have it like my kids? We're talking to my kids. Are they ever gonna go to a rock concert, bro? I mean, I went and moshed with Alice in Chains. You know what I mean? Is that ever gonna happen again? Like, think about it. Is that ever gonna happen again? I don't know. I hope so.
Yeah.
I hope they get to go get rocked out. I mean, I loved it, you know. I love seeing Pearl Jam. I love seeing Alice in Chains. I loved seeing Guns N' Roses, all that stuff, man. Elbows up, bro. Elbows up. You know what I'm saying? So we'll see. I think it's going to be regional. I think it'll be regional, you know. But in the big metropolitan areas, I don't know, man. We'll see. These big, massive shows like San Diego. Have you ever been to a San Diego Comic-Con?
Mm-mm.
I've been like 11 times, man. It is a sea of humanity that you wouldn't believe. And I'm 6'5", so I see over everybody. But man, you're touched 10 hours a day. People just press up on you all the time. And I just don't know what that's going to look like, man.
Yeah. Well, and you know,
Hey, free Kilo. I love moshing too, bro. I'm a little old now, though. I'm a little old. I'm 49. I'm a little old for it. But man, I loved it as a kid, man.
But you know, I think that there's going to be more smaller, you say regional shows than what the big ones are, because that way you can kind of break it up a little bit more. I know that I went to the biggest show I've ever been to was GalaxyCon in Louisville, Kentucky, and it was like a overload for me because I'm like, there's so much to see,
right?
So many people I want to see, books to get signed, deals to be made, all that kind of stuff that you have to have a plan about it. And so I can imagine someplace like San Diego or New York Comic Con, you know, just going in there and the vast amount of stuff that's in there.
You know,
but
really, even at these small shows, man, and again, it's a different perspective because I'm behind a booth. There's lots of times where I'm looking out and every space is taken. I mean, there's 20 people. I mean, I got 20 feet across and 10 feet back. Right? That's the size of my booth. So I have 20 feet of comics, of boxes right in the front. And then you come behind my booth too. There's no space, man. There's just no space. You know, there's times where like you can't walk. And it's not only at San Diego Comic-Con, it's at like the Stockton Con because of how popular comics are. Yeah. And that's the thing where it's like, what's that going to look like? I was talking to a friend up in New Jersey, and he was saying that there's people that walk around telling people to move away. And I'm like, how's that going to work? So people at my booth interested in giving me some sort of business, and some guy walks up and says, you can't be here. I'm like, bro, you can't be here.
Get out of here.
I mean, we got to have some words about that. So how is that going to work? I mean, I want to be positive. I want to believe we will get back together and do it. But if you think about it, man, you put your hand in a comic box, you ain't the first one to get your hands in there, bro. You ain't the 10th one. You ain't the 20th one to get your hands in there. How's that? What's that going to look like? You know what I mean? And then someone's like, hey, can I take this out and look at it? I'm like, I don't know. Take it out and look at it no more. You know what I mean?
You know, it's definitely made people more cognizant of washing their hands for sure. You know, if there's any silver lining in that gray cloud, that's definitely one of them, and that is to wash your hands often. Well, look, man, we've been at this for an hour and a half, and I do appreciate you know, you agreeing to come on and talk some Valiant comics, show off and flex some of your collection there. That's certainly some lava fire. And so if you want to shout out anything that you're going to be doing on the Instagram, because you don't do anything on YouTube, right?
No, it's funny. We need to. We need to, and we've, you know, had a lot of offers to partner with people, and, you know, again, not to be weird, whatever. I had people offer to, you know, do all kind of stuff. It's like, we'll set it up, we'll pay it, we'll pay you, just do it. And I'm real careful who I align myself with, because we are a family business, you know. Mm-hmm. But I do need to get onto the YouTubes, because that's like talking about comic books, right? So I don't do YouTubes. I do first want to plug you, my friend, content creators like yourself. It's like, I don't know what your like followers are or whatever, but I don't really think that really even matters. You don't know how important it is for people that are creating content like yourself. Someone's having a bad day, someone's whatever, the pandemic's on their case. They can watch a little bit and they can be like, dude, I just got entertained for however long it is. Like, you were providing a service. So I'm going to shout you out and all the other content creators who are giving us things to watch and to do. So it's like, you're taking time out of your day, you're setting yourself up, you're telling your 6 kids, not now, I got to go and do what I got to do. So whatever benefit you're getting from it, believe me, bro, everyone else is getting more. You know what I mean? So I want to thank you for a content creator. I'm a podcast listener. You know, I've always have something on the YouTubes when I'm grading books and stuff. So thank you so much. I would say, hey, if anyone wants to check out Elveens Comics on Instagram, it's ELVEENS_comics. You can find me there. We do a bunch of live sales. I got a pretty, you know, we got a pretty good group of people to come and watch us. You know, we got a pretty good crowd. And we're just ourselves, man. You know, I got my wife and my kids, and I'm singing and doing silly things, and I'm bringing out that lava fire week after week, show after show, bringing out bangers. I got a box of bangers that I'm bringing out on Sunday. And you know what? I'm going to go and get some Valiant. I'm going to throw some Valiant in there in honor of you, my friend. I don't know what. I'll find something good. I'll find a couple of some rare books to put up in there.
So, yeah. So when you're watching Christian's show, be sure to go ahead and hit claim and whatever letter. And then if he flips it around, just go ahead and hit, all right, send. And so claim it before he shows the price, because before he walks back to the thing, a lot of times the book's gone. So be sure to check him out. Again, highly recommended. And to your earlier point, when I first started doing YouTube, I didn't think anybody, why in the world would people want to see my books and me act crazy and all that kind of stuff. And, you know, I've had people like Freaky Louie's in here. He sent me an AOK the other day, and you were talking about what things mean to you. He sent this to me the other day. He sent me this note with these comics that he sent me for free. And, you know, so I'm going to hold on to that. And, yeah. And so it's definitely been fun ride. And you're right. You don't never know what somebody's going to go through. Somebody might not be as fortunate as I've been blessed to be able to pick up the books that I pick up. And I don't flex. I just share in my fun. And, right. You know, and I've had people say, well, look, I'm living vicariously through your collection. Right. Have at it. Because there's other people that I live vicariously through theirs, like these statue collectors and things like that. So
you're their friend. You ain't never met them. You don't know their face, but you're their friend, man. You come into their house once a week, twice a week, and your voice comes in. Content creators are so important right now, man. And you know what? You don't gotta be fancy schmancy. We live in a world where you just gotta hit the button and invite people. That's what we do, man. We just invite people in, and I got a lot of people that just come and watch us. They don't even buy nothing. They just hanging out, man. You know, our pretty loud. obviously it is a PG show. That's one thing, you know. So some people sometimes that's not the show for them, and that's okay. But you know, last thing, if I could say something, is if you're listening right now and you're thinking about doing something like getting on YouTube or doing some sort of video or a blog, man, do it, man. Just go for it. Do it. Don't worry about it. They're going to be haters. And them haters, they drinking haterade, man. Let them be thirsty. You do what you do. Even there's someone that's going to find you. There's someone that you're going to make their life better. And I don't want to be all like cheesy, but I'm only being me. Is if you can make one person's day, if you can take someone's mind even for a half an hour off of something, man. If there's a book that I showed you, like, what is that book? I've seen that before. And then you're going to get into like, oh, like for 30 minutes. Oh, that's what it was. Man, that's a good gift that I just gave you. Just gave you 30 minutes of something else. Mm-hmm. So thinking about doing it, do it, man. Just go make it happen. Flip that switch, put your face on there, start talking to the people, man. And just let's lift each other up. You know what I'm saying? Let's lift each other up. And this comic community, we good peeps, man. We're good peoples. You know what I mean? We different, and everyone gets to be a part of it. But let's create. Let's lift each other up, man. And someone's got to lead, so why not the comic folk, man? You know what I'm saying?
For sure.
For sure.
Well, it has been fun, and we appreciate you coming on here, and appreciate everybody that's hung out in the chat. Oh, I almost forgot to give away these cards here. Okay. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to give you a second to go ahead and think of a trivia question.
Ooh.
So you know, make it hard enough to where it, you know,
and
you have to think.
Like comics, Valiants, trivia, anything what you want.
Yeah, let's do some Valiant trivia.
Okay.
Maybe something that you answered or gave the answer to earlier in the deal. You know, that somebody would be able to get. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to put a start line, and I'm going to, once you say the question, I'm going to drop the start line, and the first person that gives the correct answer will win these cards by the aforementioned guy off of Instagram, Mad Mod Poet God. He's actually doing some other series of these, and so they're really cool. So go ahead if you've got it.
I got it.
What you got?
All right. So you asked me about some of my favorites.
Mm-hmm.
And I said a run that I really liked was a 2-part run in Eternal Warrior.
Mm-hmm.
Who was the other character I mentioned that was in that run? Barry Windsor Smith is the artist. Is in Eternal Warrior, a 2-arc run. I said I even had the same hair as this guy. Is that correct?
So there you go. Hey, here's a hint. He's a bad guy.
He's a bad guy. We got a lot of tattoos.
Yeah, man, just dropping all this, all these hints for you.
Maybe people don't know. If you don't know Valiant, you're not going to get it. You got to know Valiant. You got to know Valiant. Man, I haven't dug in this box in a long time. Hey, that's a bomb cartoon right there. Whatever your name is right there.
That's Crucis.
Hey, that's a good show right there.
Look who's been in here hiding. Barbarian Kung Fu been up in here hiding, coming with the jokes. What's going on, man? Yeah, and I even mentioned the fact that he is mentioned at the end of the latest Rye run. It's not Ryan Reynolds, by the way, Barbarian.
I think we said his name is Darque.
Uh-huh.
All right. Well, what's his first name? Man, I haven't dug in this box in a while, man. It was real fun. I'll tell you what, let's do something. How about something easy for people that we talked about? How about this? Who is the architect of the first run of Valiant? Who's the creator and the architect, the writer of the first pre-Unity books of Valiant, most of them? Who's the main architect? You're getting a bunch of stuff signed from him at a show.
Yeah.
That should be something they could get.
That should be something that they should get, because I mean, this guy's pretty instrumental for a lot of things. Marvel and Valiant, especially.
Yeah, he is. He was a professional comic book writer when he was 14 years old, he wrote Legion of Superheroes.
Yeah. So Felix actually came back and said Master Dark before.
Felix got it.
So I guess we'll give it to Felix. Yeah, so Felix Maldonado, which I probably just butchered your name. I do appreciate you coming with that. So hit me up on IG, and I will send these to you. And I will send these to you, and you can add them to your collection. And as far as talking about guilty pleasures, so every time I see a Turok one or a Bloodshot one in the wild, I have to rescue them. And so so I have like 22 Turok ones. These are just the ones I haven't filed away yet that I got the other day. But yeah, it's just a guilty pleasure of mine. It's like that cover's just too cool and brings back too much nostalgia to not rescue. So yeah, Felix, hit me up on IG, Southern Comic Geek, all one word, and we will take care of that. I do appreciate everybody hanging out. And as a matter of fact, Agu, you were the first person that came with the answer to the second question. And I actually have another set of these right here. So I'm going to give you that one too, Agu. I know I've mailed you stuff before because you've won stuff on my show, but I don't ever keep people's address. So send it to me, and we'll get that to you. So thanks again, Christian. Thanks everybody for hanging out. Be sure to smash that like button, hit the subscribe button if you haven't already, and the bell notification. So when videos like this drop ever so randomly, you can be one of the first people to know and can make the conscious decision as to whether or not to watch it now or later. But as long as you watch it, we appreciate you. Also, be sure to check Christian at Elveens Comics over on Instagram. His link is in the description below. And the 900 subscriber giveaway for the YouTube is a Marvel Omnibus for Guardians of the Galaxy. So the link for that is in the description below. All you got to do is click on that, be a subscriber to the channel, 18 years or older, and say I want in the comments below. And when we hit 900 subscribers, you will be getting that. So that's it. That's all I got, folks. Until next time, keep reading.